Yes, welcome in. It is Mark Blazor along with Josh Cease and, Governor's in the house. I'd love that. This is so awesome for me to welcome in the governor of our great state of Ohio, Governor Mike DeWine, and his lovely wife, Fran, the First Lady of Ohio. Thank you guys for coming in.
Well, this is
awesome. This is awesome. All right, so what I want to do is set up for the audience because I think people might be going, we were pre-promoting this going, hey, the governor and the first lady, they're coming in. We're going to have pie. And people are going, staring at the radio going, they're what? They're going to do what?
Did you see the lineup outside, though? There's people that want to come in and eat this pie.
Right.
Yeah, they're lined up. They want to come in.
Well, we can't let them in right now unless there's some left, and then maybe we'll throw that to the. All right, so let me set this up. All right, so the last time I spoke with you, Governor, at the end of the call, I said my wife would love to have Fran's recipe for the pie, and she's legendary with regard to the pie and all of this, and you sent me a handwritten note and said, "Here's some of the keys to this, according to Fran," and you said. The different types of apples is a big key to this, how you make apple pie taste so good, so on and so forth. But the biggest thing was I loved it at the end of the phone call. You said, I said, can there be anything better than apple pie?
The only thing better than apple pie is a cherry pie, and the only thing better than cherry pie is a black raspberry pie, and we could go on and on.
Right. So that's what you said towards the end of the phone call. And then you send me a handwritten note with all of this stuff written out. You give me Fran's phone number and say, if you have any questions, I go, oh my gosh. So I told my wife, I said, look, we've got to do this. And she's like, I've never made homemade crust before, like the pie crust. And I said, I think we can do this. It looks relative. And then I started hearing, don't massage it or knead it because you'll make it tough and like all these things. So I started getting really, really scared. But anyway, so then I invited you guys in, and here you are. This is unbelievable. I'm so happy.
What could be better than having apple pie at 3 o'clock in the afternoon?
I don't
think
know.
About it. You even got the hot coffee brewed here for us, a little half and half with that.
Yes.
Of course, I told Fran I was going to take the half and half and pour it on the pie. She thought that was a little...
In lieu of ice cream.
Oh, I was going to say...
In lieu of ice cream, right.
That was my first question. So, Alamo, do you guys like it both ways? I mean,
Both ways.
Either way. Okay. All right. Real quick before we get into this, I want to hear, maybe we, I don't know whether to ask you. I want to ask you about your trip to Japan because I know that it had to be incredibly interesting going over to, was this your first time to Japan or you've been there many times?
First time.
First time.
Fran and I had never been there before. And, right after I got elected, our economic development people said, hey, one of the things we really need you to do is to go to Japan in September. There's a Midwest governors meeting that meets every 2 years, and the whole purpose is to meet with businesses in Japan. And frankly, we don't let the other states to get ahead of us, and we haven't had a governor who's gone to this Midwest meeting since Governor Taft. And I said, okay, sign us up, we'll go. And so we went, and in Japan, personal relationships are very important.
Yes.
And Ohio's had a long history. In fact, I asked one of the members of Jim Rhodes' cabinet the other day. I said, "Tell me about the story with Honda." And he said, Governor Rhodes' economic development guy saw a little short paragraph in the Wall Street Journal saying that Honda was interested in looking to go beyond California. They had a place in California, and they were looking someplace else.
Right.
And he said Rhodes basically then got on the airplane and went to Japan, met with Mr. Honda. They both love to play golf. They hit it off, had that relationship. Mm-hmm. And, of course, we know the rest is history.
Right.
We got 15,000 employees in the state of Ohio as a direct result of that.
Now, one of my favorite places to go is the hibachi-style restaurants where they cook at your table, which obviously is Japanese food. First of all, do you like that kind of food? And did you do anything like that when you're? Because that's one of the first places I would head to.
I'm going to let Fran describe that. So.
Did you do it?
We did do it. Where we cooked. We did it on an outside grill where you cook your own.
Yeah.
And it was pretty good, but they just kept bringing more and more food. It was a lot more. We sort of filled up on the first things and didn't know the big pieces of meat were coming at the end.
Right.
So,
yeah.
But I would say that Fran was more adventurous than I was.
With that?
Well, the raw fish, the raw meat, the raw.
I tasted, but we were happy to get home.
Yeah, I hear you. That is not my thing, man. All right, let's get to the pie. All right, so give me a quick critique. All right, the governor was saying that he thought it looked great. You're saying that it looks great.
It looks perfect. You can tell just looking at the crust, it's very flaky and good. And, half the time when I make mine, one side's burned and the other, this is just perfectly browned. And it looks great. Can't wait to cut in.
All right, let's do it.
As someone who does not bake, but someone who eats the pies, I can tell you that crust looks delicious.
It does.
You can just look at it and you can tell whether it's going to be flaky and whether it's
going to be gross.
No. This apple pie looks great.
My wife is listening right now. She's beaming. I guarantee it. She was so nervous. She said, and I told her, I go, you know what? It'd be really funny radio though if they were like, you got a long way to go, Blazor. This is terrible. This looks terrible.
This looks good, and we are going to eat this, right?
Absolutely. Let's do it. And then, Fran, you brought a cherry pie.
Well, I just felt kind of naked not bringing anything, and so I decided I'd bring a cherry pie.
So the only thing better than
so.
eating apple pie at 3 o'clock in the afternoon is eating apple and cherry pie at 3
Right.
o'clock in the afternoon.
All right, let's. All right, how should we do this? I'm actually off mic now, but let's get this off of here.
Okay, I'll describe it. Mark is reaching over there.
Oh, thanks, Josh.
He's going to get the knife and cut it.
All right.
Well, no, I think it would be pretty incredible if the First Lady of Ohio got
All right,
to
there you go.
your pie.
Yeah, well, that would be perfect.
You're
if
on,
she
Fran.
would you do me the honor?
No.
Or,
First
either
lady.
one of
She
you
knows
is
what she's
fine.
doing.
Let me ask you this: do you ever help in the baking, or do you ever step it? Because my wife and I did this together.
Oh yeah, I help a lot. I test.
He likes to pick cherries and pit them, though.
I pick the cherries. I'll pit them.
Okay, so that's okay.
Anything to get a pie.
Okay.
I mean, seriously, anything to kind of serve it up so that it's ready to go.
Right.
So.
How's the consistency? Is it still okay? Good. All right, so far so good. The First Lady, she's cutting into it right now, and boy, this thing, it is big. Big. Yeah, my wife got that where she cooks it in. She got it in some antique place, and it.
Ooh.
Is it looking good?
It's looking good.
So far so good.
We're gonna make our listeners just die out there.
This is great.
I never thought I'd be serving pie to the governor.
No,
I never in my life thought I was going to do this.
Yeah, and here you go.
Oh.
Here you are. Now, and obviously be completely honest, seriously, about anything that you go, okay, you could have did this differently. You could have did this. It's to this. It's
Okay,
to
do
that.
I get to bite in? Can I eat it?
Do your thing. Go for it. Go for it, Governor. This is great.
The saying is easy as pie.
Right.
But pie isn't easy, really.
Right.
Okay, it's delicious.
Okay.
A1.
Okay, you're liking it.
No, you're
Okay.
on it. You're on it.
Okay, so based on your first bite, are you thinking anything needs adjusted? And be completely honest if you feel that way.
You got to ask
Just
Fran.
a bigger piece, he'd say.
That would be the only thing. Although Fran actually gave me a big piece. Normally, when she cuts pie, I don't get a big.
You get a little teeny
Because
slither.
she knows I'm going to come back for the second one, the third one. And,
It's a big pie.
Right. Right. Now, did you take a bite yet, Fran?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
It's delicious.
Okay, so you're on. Okay.
Perfect seasoning, perfect crust. Apples are just great. A lot of different flavors in the apples, which is important, I think.
Right. And the
Yeah.
consistency is good. Like the apples should be about like that. Like,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's one of those things
Yeah,
that
there's enough firmness so that you know it's an apple and you know it's a slice, but it's perfect.
Right.
Yeah. The reason I use like some Granny Smith is they hold their shape, but the Macintosh kind of go to pieces, so it gives you
But the
more of a
Macintosh has got a great
sauce
flavor, though. too.
and flavor. So
Right.
that's why I like a combination like that
Right. Okay.
for better flavor.
I'm so proud to work with you. You made a pie
what?
that the governor and the First
to
Lady like.
Wife
Yes.
to come help you for the next ice cream social.
I know.
Oh, we're in. I'm not kidding. My wife was like, she's just beside herself that this is going on. So she's very happy. She would be very happy, seriously, to be assistant anything like this. This is really. So yeah, that's what I was wondering, because she and I were making this together, and it was like I kind of get under her skin, especially in the kitchen, because I'll be this and do this, and she'll be like, "What are you doing? We're not to that point yet," that kind of thing. So does the governor do that? Fran, is he
Sometimes the deal, though, I have with Fran is, I said, okay, look, I'll clean up afterwards if you make whatever. You know, if you make the pie or if you make.
If I cook all day, he'll do dishes all day.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a good trade-off.
It's just each one of us has a skill. Mine's just a lower level skill.
Well, this is great. I was nervous with regard to the crust. It's relatively, as far as the ingredients, I'm blown away how there's only a few ingredients.
There's only, yeah.
But is it true that if you knead it or you massage it too much, it does get tough?
You develop the gluten, which makes it tough.
And that loses the flaky or no?
Loses the flaky.
Okay.
Makes it, tough like bread.
Right.
Like a bread crust.
Right.
So do you? So it's a technique. I mean,
Yeah.
part of it you say it's a technique as well as a recipe, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is the thickness of the bottom piece of crust good? Is that a good thickness for that?
Yeah. I mean, it's just got to hold the pie
Wow.
together.
Yeah.
It's really good.
I
isn't
mean,
it?
it can get mushy if you don't watch it, right?
Right.
I mean, that's the thing that you got to try to avoid. Boy.
The funny thing is that we have discovered sometimes people have not really had a piece of homemade pie. And so, say, you want a piece of pie? Well, no, I'd rather have something else.
Right.
Until they taste it.
Right.
Until it tastes homemade pie, and it's just.
That's complete.
I had a great aunt when I was a little kid, and her specialty was black raspberry. And when I would come home some afternoons, walk home from school in Yellow Springs, and get home, my mother would say, Aunt Marie has a pie for you. And I'd literally walk across the street and get this black raspberry pie, which is just like very, 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 very wonderful thing. So I've been a big fan. My mother made good pies, great pies, but no one's as good as Fran. How's that?
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Am I okay, Fran?
That's why we've been married so many years.
That's why we've been married 52 years.
That's the right answer, right?
But your wife's on it here, man. That's
awesome.
She's got it.
I love it. I love it. She's beaming right now. I guarantee it, hearing that she's getting the approval from the master, if you will. And I want to try we got to hit a break here, but I actually wanted to try the cherry pie. I know you guys have got
we got to sample it. Right?
We definitely, I think we should be.
Yeah, and Fran needs to sample it, and I need to sample it, because if it's no good, we wouldn't want anybody else to have to eat it. Right?
That's perfect. All right, we'll have to do that. All right, we'll sample the cherry pie then, as the governor and the First Lady of Ohio are in the studio with me. Traffic.
The only thing better than apple pie is a cherry pie, and the only thing better than a cherry pie is a black raspberry pie, and we could go on and on.
It is the Mark Blazor Show, and look at that. That's funny. All right, the governor, Mike DeWine, is in the studio with me, and the First Lady of Ohio, Fran, his wife, and obviously she is the pie master. And so my wife and I decided, we asked them to come in, and we made an apple pie and a rave reviews. All right, so we did that in the first segment. So now Fran was gracious enough to bring in cherry pie. This is still warm, so this
just came out of the oven.
Oh yeah, this is still warm, and oh man. See, now I do see the flakiness in the crust. There was that same flakiness, so it looks like we got the crust right. Mm-hmm. Looks like we got it right. All right, here's the I'm going to try the cherry pie. Oh man. Wow. That is like, I love the tartness of it. It's got that I can't even just look. I'm speechless because it's really good.
Cherry pie. A lot of people put a lot of sugar in cherry pies, and I don't put quite as much sugar because I like them to be a little tart.
It's fantastic. Fantastic.
Well, it's not too tart. It's, again, that perfect spot.
Now, the with regard to the pie, your favorite, I know it's just, you like all of them, seriously, Governor. I know it's tough. Yeah, it's like saying, what is your favorite children? Which one's your favorite child? You can't really, I know it's probably tough, though.
No, it is tough. But, the good thing about pie, fruit pie, is you can kind of follow the season.
Right.
You can start off, rhubarb probably, Fran, first. Mm-hmm. Rhubarb. And one thing, Fran makes rhubarb / strawberry sometimes.
Ooh, yeah.
Which is good.
That sounds great.
I'm a big fan of just strawberry. I think Fran is not as big a fan of just strawberry.
I don't like cooked strawberry.
But I like strawberry. I think that's a great pie in and of itself, and you put it with the rhubarb. Some people don't even know what rhubarb is. They don't maybe never had it at home.
I'll be honest, I don't.
So there's a good rhubarb patch there at the governor's residence, and
Right.
I've
And,
kept it. If you keep it pulled,
Right.
it'll keep bearing. And so I pulled some last week before I went to.
My grandfather said he had a buddy of his who called it the spring tonic. He said he'd come over and get a little of my grandfather's rhubarb and say, Albert, I need a little spring tonic. Can you spare a little of that rhubarb? And he would not have it in a pie. He would have it just in
You can
in
make
a
it
dish.
sauce like applesauce.
Oh,
like
okay.
just
Add a
like
little,
applesauce.
chop it, add some water and sugar, and cook it, and
Right.
it's like
But then,
applesauce.
then you go on through the year, and you got cherries, and if it's a good peach year around here, you get peaches.
Right.
Peaches are a little more problematic, but then of course end up with the apples in the fall.
Yeah.
So around the corner.
And black raspberry too, if you're lucky to get one.
Yeah, probably black raspberry is his favorite because you can't buy black raspberries in the grocery. You can buy blackberries, but not black raspberries. So you have to buy them from someone who's picking them,
Or
and
go
so-
pick
them
'em.
yourself,
Used
which
to.
I've done.
Right.
My dad had when my dad was living, he had black raspberries, but they're difficult.
They have prickers. They're hard to
Well,
grow,
and they're also
pick.
different. They get diseased, and so they're kind of rare.
Kind of touchy.
Yeah, they're kind of touchy.
Yeah.
And the other one would be red raspberry. Red raspberry is a very rich pie.
Oh.
Some people would think that was almost too rich a pie. Not me, but
All right, so-
I like it.
So around the corner is pumpkin. Obviously, pumpkin pie is upon us here, and you do make pumpkin pies.
Yeah, I make pumpkin.
Is there a couple of? We're down to about a minute here, but is there like something that is there a kind of a? For instance, with apple pie, the governor writes me and says, Fran told him, three different apples is kind of a thing you need to do because people will make the mistake of doing the same apple for the whole pie, and to do 3, that is perfect. That's so spot on. It's so simple, but it's perfect. Is there anything with regard to pumpkin pie? Do you start with a fill, or do you buy the actual pie type pumpkin and then go from there?
Usually I grow the pumpkins.
Wow.
So usually we have somewhere either at our house in our garden or at my son's garden. He raises. He's an organic farmer, so he raises pumpkins. And so you take a pumpkin and you cut it in half and clean out the seeds and then put it cut side down on a cookie sheet.
Right.
And bake it until a toothpick goes in. And then you can scoop out the pumpkin and then make it into your recipe.
Put in the spices. and stuff.
But it's a different pie. But I use canned pumpkin too
But
when I don't have it.
it's really a milder pie, I think. Than,
Usually it's milder
than the canned.
Right.
It's very mild
Yeah.
pie. It's really much different than a
And it depends.
canned
There's a
pumpkin
million
pie.
varieties of pumpkins, so
Right.
depends on what kind of pumpkin you cook.
Absolutely. All right.
Yeah.
Governor Mike DeWine and the First Lady
Well,
Fran,
give-
thank you so much
Give
for
your
coming
wife
in.
our regards. Tell her that anytime that she's got an extra pie around, and, we can come over, or we can come over to the studio, or
Absolutely.
And this-
Well,
and this-
last year when I did them for our ice cream social at home, I have friends that come over and help me make them. There's about 10 of us,
Right.
and we did 204 pies. All the crust from scratch, peeled the apples.
That's a ton of work.
But she's got actually her mother comes over.
My
Mother's
mom's 93, and my sister-in-law brings her mother. Her mother will be 100 next month. Wow. And she still helps peel apples.
brings her own paring knife, right?
And she brings her paring knife because she's
awesome.
left-handed and it's sharpened on that side.
That is awesome. All right, you guys, it's so great to
Happy
meet
pie.
you. Thank you. Thank you very much for coming in. It's fantastic to meet you. All right, traffic and weather every 10 minutes on the 10th from Tempstar Heating and Cooling Products. Johnny, how are we looking?